And good evening, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Tonight, a national disgrace. Family members of U.S. troops who made the ultimate sacrifice dealt what could be the ultimate insult by the very government that sent their loved ones to war, all because they were killed after the government shutdown. At least 5 families so far told they won't be getting so-called death benefits to help pay for their funerals, the travel of their family members, and more. They include the family of 25-year-old Sergeant Patrick Hawkins. His mother telling us today she wants him to be remembered as honest, brave, and a hero. 24-year-old Special Agent Joseph Peters was on his 3rd deployment. His commanding general deeply saddened by the loss. Private First Class Cody Patterson was just 24 years old, remembered as someone who would have been successful at anything. Marine Lance Corporal Jeremiah Collins Jr., 19 years old. His mother says he loved the Marines. And 25-year-old Jennifer Moreno, on her 1st deployment. Her mother lives in San Diego, and her congressman is demanding answers tonight. Duncan Hunter is a member of the House Armed Services Committee and is himself an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran. Representative Hunter, good to see you. I know you've served 3 tours of duty, and we thank you for your service. How did this happen?
Megyn, here's what has happened, and I want to take you back to 2004. The Iraq war is going on. I was in Fallujah. Our Defense Department, in order to save money, was bringing back the bodies of our dead soldiers in rented cargo airplanes. There's an iconic picture of these flag-draped caskets being forklifted out of a cargo plane in Dover, Delaware. That's the type of decision that the Defense Department makes. Congress had to explicitly tell the Defense Department that you will no longer do that. They will have a military escort and an honor escort all the way back to their hometown. So fast forward 9 years, and here we are. And here's what has happened. This is a boneheaded decision that dishonors our fallen brothers and sisters. And it also does this. It breaks the trust that our government has with those men and women that serve on the front lines and are forgotten right now because of this shutdown. Yeah. And by the way, Megyn, thank you so much for doing this. I'm glad you're talking about it. It's unfortunate that I'm on your show with this issue, but it's great to be on your show.
It's great to have you, and we honored the sacrifice that these fallen paid and the service that you offered. But I want to ask you, because, you know, with all due respect, this seems like a middle finger to the family members of these heroes who died. And the question is, who's to blame? I know that you wrote a letter, a heated letter, to the Secretary of Defense today, asking Secretary Hagel how this could have happened, accusing him and his department of a careless legal interpretation, saying this was not a matter, that this was a matter of choice for them, which they deny.
Here's the problem with this. On the 28th of last month, pre-shutdown, we passed the Pay Our Militaries Act. That passed through the House, through the Senate, and the President signed it on the 30th of last month. That does cover this. You know, Congress says a lot of things. We're not always stupid. We actually saw this coming. That's why we passed that bill. This is an on purpose, in your face, middle finger, as you said so eloquently, to the military families. I mean, this is nothing other than that, because they were told explicitly by us, you can pay this. This is why we're passing this act unanimously through the House and the Senate, signed by the President. They are being careless, and this really does. This is reminiscent of them sending back bodies in cargo planes so they could be forklifted instead of with an honor guard, and the way that we ought to treat our men and women.
It's just incredible what's happening, because they're not going to get their funerals paid for. They'll have the ceremony at Dover, but when the
family doesn't even get to fly to Dover now.
The family doesn't get to, and these funerals, this is happening tomorrow. And this is happening tomorrow. So without the government money, unless a private contributor steps in, and it looks like that may happen now, these families are not going to be there at Dover.
No, think about this too. Your loved one is off serving. You're on military housing. You're barely getting by. The economy isn't great. Things are expensive at Camp Pendleton in San Diego because it's San Diego. You no longer have your sole breadwinner. You no longer have anything. So you're going to be living without pay. You have kids. I mean, that's the situation that the government is putting these guys in, and families, and it's pure bureaucracy. It's shameful. It's embarrassing. And they need to change it immediately. That's what needs to happen here. It needs to get fixed tonight. Chuck Hagel should say, listen, it's fixed. We're going to pay them. Otherwise, Congress is going to pass this tomorrow. It's going to have to go through the Senate. You know, they take 3 or 4 days. That's 3 or 4 more days that these families are not going to have with what the government owes them and that they were expecting to actually live their lives every day. DOD needs to get this right for a change and quit making stupid, boneheaded mistakes like this.
The Pentagon comptroller came out and said, well, we've had a number of people die recently, and we'll be able to pay them, but not until the lapse of this appropriation problem. So, you know, they're going to get their money just as soon as you basically get your act in order. He's putting it back on Congress, and the DOD is putting it back on Congress. They've come out and said that Congress was warned prior to the shutdown that these benefits would be stopped, that even despite your effort to legislatively head this off, your legislative effort only protects the servicemen and women and not the families, and that you blew it because that was a loophole and you should have seen this coming.
You know what, I will tell you, let me take off my Congress hat and put on my Marine hat. That statement sickens me, because here's the reason why. We explicitly asked if this was going to be covered when we passed the law that pays for this. And they said yes. This is DOD trying to cover their own tail on this. They made the wrong decision, and they need to fix it. And there should be pressure from every single American and every single news channel and every single congressman that DOD gets this right, because there is no better person than that person who gives their life for this nation. And this is, like I said, saddening. It's depressing. It's embarrassing and despicable that DOD would try to stand by this, because every day that they won't admit that they're wrong, families are not giving what's due them.
Why would they do it? Why would the DOD, if it had the discretion, as you say, and I know you accuse them in your letter of inappropriate judgment, you say they're deflecting responsibility for this. Why would they? I mean, one would think that the Department of Defense would want to honor the fallen heroes the same as the rest of us do. Why
did they make the decision to send back bodies and caskets from rented cargo planes that weren't even U.S. military planes? I mean, why do they buy $80,000 toilet seats? Why do they have program after program that does not work? The reason is they make bad decisions sometimes, and this is one of those bad decisions. And instead of just fessing up and saying, sorry, we got this wrong, we're going to fix it, for some reason they're digging their heels in, and I'm not sure why, frankly, because it's very easy for them to say, look, we have 3 other lawyers here. They say we can do it. Let's just pay it, get this over with. They could do that now, literally tonight, and this money could be wire transferred in the morning to these families. It's that easy for them to fix this. Wow. They don't have to wait for Congress.
You know, Sergeant Patrick Hawkins, who we talked about in the introduction, died moving to help a wounded Ranger who was killed, and the Ranger creed is never leave a fallen comrade. I mean, the irony of that, given what's happening to him and his family, is stark. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.